So today we are given this second ending of the Gospel of Mark, written some decades probably later than the first ending, and concluding in this second ending with this more hopeful sign. The first ending concludes with, and they were afraid when they saw the empty tomb and told no one. This second ending gives that sending, that wonderful call to the people to go forth and proclaim the gospel. And it uses this apocalyptic sort of language about handling serpents and drinking poisonous things and not be harmed. It isn't to say that those who are believers should go out and do those things. That would be an act against humility, for one thing, as we heard in the first reading. And it would be a way of testing God. Well, if I'm a believer, I'm going to show this to other people, right? That's the humility. The testing God part is, well, make sure I don't get hurt. Rather, this language is used in a symbolic way, in a profound way. Or where do we see that serpent raise its head initially in the order of the scriptures, if it isn't in Genesis, in the creation story of Adam and Eve, and that call to, no, you're not going to die if you eat of the fruit of the tree. That is the serpent seen as an image of evil, of that which will take us away from God rather than bring us toward God. And the believer moves always toward the Lord, of course. Poisonous things, that saying, those things that will bring death. But the way of the believer always brings life. There is no doubt that in our lives there is suffering. As the letter of Peter mentioned, we will have to suffer in this world, not because we have to look for suffering or that we should look for suffering. There is something innate in our daily lives that calls us to face suffering. And the believer suffers and continues believing and looks forth to do good in the name of Jesus Christ. Being challenged now with this COVID-19. Do we despair, or do we cling to the faith we hold? Do we look inward and just take care of me, or do I look outward and consider the ways, maybe small, maybe larger, that we can bring forth a healing to the sick, accompany the dying, bring hope and life to those who are afraid and despair. The believer always embraces that life and is promised never to be abandoned. It's what we do every time we gather around this table, remembering the Lord Jesus, the new covenant, and hear the word, and receive at the table of the Lord. Even now, so many are only receiving spiritually, they're receiving that same presence